I grew up here in eastern Duplin County, born in 1932, right at the height or the end of the Depression, and grew up on a farm, five brothers and three sisters, and learned how to crop tobacco and tend to hogs and do farming chores. Our father was very much involved in the life of our community. He only went to the fourth grade. In later years, he served on the school board in Duplin County. So he was always doing things in the life of the community, and that's always been a big part of our life. Giving back to the community. I had served 22 years, and it was quite an honor to serve all those many years, and I wouldn't take anything from my experience. Have the opportunity to learn so much about the state, just like the beach and the fisheries, for example. But I came to value that industry and others across the state. And when I came to the Senate from the House, Senator Bassnight, who's someone I love and respect so much, who's been such a great positive force for the state, he decided, and I was so honored to be named chairperson of the Senate Agriculture, Environment, and Natural Resource Committee. And of course, in being chair of that committee, I became co-chair of the Seafood and Aquaculture Study Commission. That was a challenging time. You try to find that balance between it, the swine, agriculture, and environment. But I found it almost equally as challenging, when I got into the fisheries resource and started talking about that because I learned there was a lot of contention between commercial interests versus the recreational folks. And the question was, and I guess still remains today, who is going to have access to the resource? And we could see, over time and happening very quickly, that access to the beach was disappearing because of the building that went on during that time. We had to try to address that we could, but we saw some of the sites that had been so important, as a part of our culture and our history and the social aspects of that. We saw a lot of that disappearing. I quickly learned, too, the importance of preserving some places for public access and trying to find some money, some ways we could set aside some resources to keep some of our fish houses in place, for the various cultural, social issues. Well, apparently it's been very successful. I recall here's we had, down in Morehead City, we had a hearing over in Manio, and maybe we had one in Newbern, but we had several hearings relative to this issue where we heard from the public and gained some better insights, better educated about, what was going on. And if I remember correctly, we came up with $20 million that was set aside, for this purpose. But we had, for most part, people were on board. They understood through these hearings we had and discussions we had in committee, they understood the importance of the fisheries and preserving that access. And those fish houses was a big part of who we are, that we wanted to maintain that for not only for ourselves, but for future generations. I think what we did was the right thing, make sure that we have access and have these places preserved. They are of great value, I think, for people to see these fish houses, for example, and know how it was to some extent, although there's been a lot of growth and it's changed a lot. But those places play an important role in our culture and our social life, and we want to preserve that. It's hard work. Fishing is hard work, and fishing can be dangerous. Farming is hard work. It requires somebody who I think really loves what they do. They must love the land and the sea. That was a great honor for me to serve in that role, and hopefully I added something in that regard. But to learn all of that and find ways that you can find people who have the same interest and know the value of those entities we're talking about and are willing to make those things happen that preserve this place for future generations.